What up, Grizz Nation, and welcome back to another post-game show. I am Daniel Greer. There is no Nate tonight. Nate is actually on a work event. I do believe he is. I just found out this afternoon. So we had a late call-in to our guy, one of the Bucks, Uncle Buck. We're going to bring in Drew Gann a little bit later, but tonight the game was ugly, in all honesty. And it was a game that the Grizzlies got off to a great start and then had a 50-point second quarter where they allowed 50 points. Like, I don't know if that's ever happened that I've seen. I know the Grizzlies maybe have been in uncharted territory with actually doing that themselves, but I've never actually seen that happen to the Grizzlies. 50 points in one quarter is a lot, but they lose 127 to 113 just overall in this game. But we're going to get into all of the entire breakdown of the game completely with Drew, but I do have an announcement. So we're going to do the Grizzleverse, but since Nate's not here, I kind of want to hold off because Nate gave the first rankings, and I felt like it was only right to have the Grizzleverse when Nate was on. So if you're expecting that, I do apologize. We're going to have a normal Grizz Trivia, which is should be pretty good, but there is no Grizzleverse tonight. We're going to wait. I might do it tomorrow. We might have Ryan Meadows joining us. But if for some reason I want to decide to wait, we might do it the next game when Nate can be back, because usually Nate's a little bit more fun on that stuff. And he's already great at the first ones. Yeah, you know why. But anyway, we're going to get into the entire breakdown of the game and then look ahead to the game tomorrow as they take on the Orlando Magic. So let's go ahead and get this show going. Looky. You look so excited. You don't have a snow globe. You don't have anything. I'm excited about that. But Drew, how are you?
So happy to be here. Yeah. So much like the Grizzlies, Uncle Buck here is discombobulated after a long break. What a night. I mean, there's nothing like just absolute after a long break. It's like, you sit through a whole summer, like back when you're in school and you don't see your friends for a whole summer. And then like the first day of school, the bully comes up and pants you after you've been looking forward to just hanging out with your friends. Like, no, we just got pants tonight. And all we wanted to do was watch a basketball game.
I might make that the title of the show. Just got pants, because that might be what it actually should be called, because tonight it felt like that moment. Like, you show up, you're feeling good, you're back from the All-Star break, and then that second quarter, the Grizzlies just got pants. Like, I know that goes along with our other, conversations or other words we have, like girth, but like being pants would be that feeling what happened in the second quarter of the Grizzlies. It was ugly.
Yeah, it was like being pants, but you have no girth to show. You're just like it's just very embarrassing and humiliating, and you're wearing whitey tighties. It was just the bad pantsing,
Yeah,
No
all
other way
around. It was ugly. Well, this is Grizz 101. If you're watching over on Twitter, thank you so much. But do us a favor, come over to the YouTube channel. It's at Bluff City Media. You can join us there. The chat is popping as it always is. Thank you all for hanging out with us. I saw a comment from Lauren. I want to bring up something. If I can find it. Oh, here it is. Sad that post-game show is back under these conditions. Like, that is literally like how it felt. Like, I felt good to be back and doing a show because we've been off for I think it's been a week. And so coming back and being on here, besides getting the text, and this is no shot to you, Drew, but getting the text earlier this afternoon, hey, you remember I'm off today and tomorrow's show, right? I was like, yeah, I had no idea. Totally forgot.
Nope,
And
forgot.
so didn't have so forgot about that, and so didn't have Nate as normal. So then I had to make sure that we brought in somebody else. And so either way, King Mick says, Drew, it's like when your mom comes to your school because you're acting up and whips you in front of the class.
That was way too close to the truth for me.
Yeah.
Like that hit home.
All right, let's get to a little bit of the comments in a second. So go ahead and keep putting them in there. If you have a question that you want I promise you, it goes to the front of the line. But if you go ahead and do a super chat, it goes to it prioritizes that. Whatever that costs, I don't know. But we'll try to get to as many of these questions that we have. But I want to get through a little bit. And off the top rope, as we always do, Drew, what is your initial thoughts on this game?
I mean, it's just frustration, really. It seems like when we want it the most is when we get nothing. Like, I mean, less than nothing, honestly. We look forward to the Knicks game in Madison Square Garden. We get pants. We look forward to Oklahoma City. Everybody's healthy for the first time, and we just get humiliated. And then we got this long break. There is nobody on the injury report that's not a two-way transfer. And for the first time in over 2 years, 200 and something games. And it's like, okay, here we go again. 28 games left, the stretch run. And you don't follow through. And it's frustrating. And listen, Indiana's a good team. They're offensively good. They're defensively aggressively average. And you just let them hang 50 on you without any sort of resistance at all. And it's like you just let the whole quarter get away from you. I think that run ended up being like 42-12 or something like that. That run that was going on from the halfway through the second quarter, 42-13 from the 6:38-minute mark of the second quarter to the 10-minute mark of the third quarter. So even after half, the lead just kept going. Like there was no reset. Now they got it right, second part of the third quarter, into the fourth quarter a little bit, but you just exerted so much effort just to get close. And at that point, it was I don't know, the one that's not Reed Shepherd hit a three, and it was like, okay, that just took all the momentum away. You just had nothing else left to give.
Right. Yeah, it was a game that they got punched in the mouth there, and they took a butt whooping there in the second, which is an issue in itself, right? Allowing 50. I don't want to, I know a lot of people are discussing Taylor Jenkins, and just like Volcano the Sweat, I believe he still is. That's the OG name. Is asking the question, do y'all think Taylor Jenkins will be fired? Like I do not think
No.
that Taylor Jenkins will be fired. There's no reason to fire Taylor Jenkins unless that the front office just says, hey, listen, you've tried different things. We've combated against that in our closed door meetings, and you've decided to go ahead and go against the grain that we've shown that we do not like. And I don't think that's happening. I don't think that Taylor Jenkins is making decisions that's going against the grain of the franchise, right? And so because of that, I don't think there's no issues behind the scenes. Let's go in front of the scenes on the court. The Grizzlies are, second in the West, right? And so the fact that you would be upset with that, I get that you don't like it because we're fans and we look at every single quarter, every single minute, and we can pick it apart. But realistically, they're still second in the West. And so it's going to be very hard to fire a coach that is second in the West, even though they do have their holes. But in all honesty, I can point to a lot of the players as well. And you can point fingers at both sides. You can point fingers on the coach, maybe the rotations, maybe the offense, maybe the defense, and especially tonight. But then you can look at the players and go, yeah, but the players don't show any
effort.
They don't show no effort. Their defense looks terrible. Like there's so many ways you can go about this.
Yeah, that's my whole beef with the Taylor Jenkins discourse. It's like I don't like the fact that when things go poorly, it's the coach's fault, and when things go great, it's the player's fault. Right. It's always a combination of both. The coach can only put you in position to win. You've got the number one offense in the league, and you are just getting violently beat down by teams. And it's not because you don't score the ball, but it's just because you don't look like you're involved. You don't look like you care. And that starts with Ja Morant, in my opinion. Yeah. And I've been on many rants about this, about just the way that he looks while going up and down the court. And that's the frustrating part, that it just didn't seem to the ball didn't seem to get rolling in the right direction. And when it starts going downhill, it cannot be corrected. Now, give 12 some credit here, because he turned into 12 in the third quarter. I think in the third quarter, Brevin said he either scored or assisted on 19 points in the third quarter and really led the surge for them to come back and make this a ball game late. But you're in that position now because you didn't play with any sort of pride or effort. you even started out hot. I mean, 12-2 before I even got the TV on.
Yeah.
And you just folded. And
right.
I guess you get some credit for bouncing back and making it competitive, but you shouldn't have been in that situation to start with, because that Indiana team is not stopping you if you put forth the effort.
Yeah. No, and as King Meeks is saying, I'm not firing Taylor this week. Like, yes, like that's understood. I think we all agree. But like I've said this before, and I don't want to say it too completely harping on it, but I will say that if the Grizzlies don't make it out of the first round of the playoffs, I think there will be conversations, and I think there'll be hard conversations to be had about the coaching staff for sure.
Yeah, I think that there's only two reasons why Taylor Jenkins gets fired, and it's a lackluster exit in the first round. Is I believe that there's serious talks being made, and if the players quit having his back, it's clear that the players have his back, and even through the hard times, they've always remained with him. I do wonder a little bit whether Kleiman and Taylor see eye to eye recently. Just kind of some things that I've just maybe conjured up in my own head. When it comes, why do you draft Zach Edey and then go to this offense? There may be just some miscommunication. There's some different ideas of what this team's supposed to look like. But I don't think that Taylor Jenkins gets fired unless you have a dud of a first round and a quick 4 or 5 game exit in the first round, or Ja Morant and Jaron go to Kleiman and it's like, hey, it's not working. We need a new voice.
Yeah, I'm going to get to a few more of these questions in a second, but I want to stay on this for just a brief moment, because I want to ask the question to you, because it kind of popped in my head. I know that you say you've kind of conjured the idea of the front office. Let's say it's Kleiman and Jenkins. Let's just keep it simple. Yeah. That way there's no misunderstanding. That they have maybe some different directions and different thoughts, right? And that can happen like easily, right? But they're the ones that, the front office is the ones that hired the assistant coach who they wanted to implement this offense. The front office is also the ones who decided that they're going to end up drafting Zach Edey. Now, Taylor Jenkins has his thoughts on that, whether he liked it, hated it, whatever. In the end of the day, the front office made those decisions. So if you're comparing those two, that doesn't go hand in hand. But my question is, if you didn't get Zach Edey, from what we know, maybe they tried to move up, and maybe that is true, but they were not able to move up for whatever reason in the draft, but they were at 9th, right?
Right.
Who else under that would you have actually wanted that would be better than Zach Edey? And obviously we're leaving out Jalen Wells. We love him, but like that was a steal and a great scouting report for the front office and whoever's doing the drafting and their opinions of that. But who else is there? And I hate putting you on the spot for this, but just in general,
I've got ideas.
Nothing stands out to me on a player like, hey, they should have got this guy after we've seen a little bit of the season play out.
Right. So I've got two schools of thought. If you're dead set on getting a big, which it seemed like they were, I don't think you go get Zach Edey unless you're just, that's number one priority. You're going to go get a big. I would have went Khalil Ware. It was a little bit over asking price maybe, but I'd go get Khalil Ware. But I also,
Ware was drafted after Edey, just so everybody's on the same page.
Right. And I mean, first off, I'd probably try to make a better offer to Charlotte to get that 5 or 6, whatever it was, ended up that rumor trade that Jake Fisher pump faked us on. I would have, sweetened that offer and made them, given them offer they couldn't refuse, because Donovan Clingan.
Who would you got?
Clingan would have been amazing. Yeah, Clingan.
Okay. But we're in the same spot though, still.
Yeah, but I think Klingan's a better player, but I was always in me and Buckets kind of agreed with this. And I'm trying to McCain. I would have gone and got McCain, I think, because that was another positional need. McCain was there. He was going to be a rookie of the year candidate if he didn't get injured earlier in the season. He really had a breakout moment before he got hurt and is going to miss the rest of the season. I think that filled a positional need as well.
Yeah. Listen, okay, so the two guys that I wanted in the draft were the two guys that you gave me. So I'm on the same page with that. Like, I think that they missed on Khalil Ware because he was a guy that fit the system a little bit better. And I know as you know, a lot of people are saying this is like these are big things and these are big, honestly, ifs. Like, you know, if they would have done that, if they would not have changed the offense. But I'd just like to ask the question because I think that's what we're all here to do, in all honesty. But Jerry McCain would have fit in this team very well, but also Khalil Ware. And so if you want to bring that to the argument, great. I think that's fine. But in the end of the day, I think Clingan and Edey are very close to the same as comparables as you can get. Because of that, I think that you'd get either one. I think Edey's played well. That's the bad thing. And I know that we give Edey a hard time, but he's played well. I think he actually played well tonight.
Yeah, I think he was the only player that played not garbage time minutes that was in the positive on plus minus on the game. I do think he played well. I just think that Clingan's more polished. He's a better rebounder. But he doesn't. Clingan, I'm with you, would not fit this offense either. But I don't think there was a big man that would have fit this offense because they wanted a big man that would shoot a three. Is what I would wanting. Somebody that could stretch the floor. Edey and Clingan would probably be the same way. They're just in the way. You know, Ja, to his credit, has done an amazing job hitting that little fadeaway mid range whenever he wants to take it. But before Edey was there, that was a layup or a dunk attempt. You know. His defender's always there.
Kim Gordon says, I'm sure Clingan can catch the ball. We've said that many times on the show about creating the space. Edey just doesn't have it yet. He doesn't understand.
It's the speed of the game. It's the speed of the game thing.
Everything is fast for him. But I want to ask get you another question right here. Because there it goes. Okay. So Anthony brought this up, and I want to hit on this because we're still talking about Taylor Jenkins a little bit, and then we'll move on from Taylor. I'm going to break down each of the guys and see what your thoughts are on it, because I have my thoughts on a lot of these guys. I'm not going to go on record of saying what I said in the group chat or in our group, whatever it is on Twitter. If that ever comes out, if somebody ever gets the group chat on Twitter, I'm cooked because I say some outlandish things in there just because I know it's a safe space. And I know that we're all kind of joking, but there's a little bit of truth to it. But I won't go and share that. But Anthony says, Coach plays too many players. Nobody can get into a rhythm. So I want to ask you, at the end of the third quarter, start of the fourth quarter, I ran the numbers, and the Pacers had played 66-ish minutes from the bench, and the Grizzlies played right at 67. So within a minute of each other, the minutes on the bench were exactly even. Why do we look at the rotations from the coach and have comments like this that he's playing too many players, nobody can get in a rhythm, when he's playing the exact same amount of number of minutes for his bench as the coach that's beating him by 20 points?
Well, and Rick Carlisle's a good coach. If you're doing the same thing as Rick Carlisle, I'm not ever going to fault you. But you know, kind of the phenomenon where he's just like, I've never seen a car like this before, and your buddy gets one and you see it, and then it's like every car you see for the next month is that car. That's what's going on here. There was a real problem earlier in the season where he was playing 12 guys and nobody was getting long stretches of playing time. You know, the stars anyways were not.
Right.
And so now anytime somebody subs in from the bench, everybody's like, oh my gosh, here's the bench. Like, it's just not a problem anymore. Only 10 guys played more than, or there were, let's see, the you had Pippen, Clark, Bagley, Conchar, and Huff. Well, let's take out Clark. Pippen, Bagley, Conchar, and Huff played 2 minutes apiece, and Clark played 10. So there was 10 guys that played 17 or more minutes. The lowest of those, GG played 17, Kennard 20, Vince 20, and everybody else played, 22 or more. But only 10 guys played in this game. Now, did they play relatively 3 minutes?
Clark only played 3 minutes in the second half. Just so everybody's understanding of that.
It just wasn't a problem tonight. I mean, just simply, it was just that's a nit, that's a burr in your side, and that's a cop out for a loss. But that just wasn't the case tonight. He did not play too many players tonight. He played 10 players.
Yeah, and I agree, and that's kind of where I'm at, because if I want to be a little petty, and you know how I'm very petty, very petty,
very much.
But I look on here, and Vince Williams Jr. played 20 minutes.
Yep.
You wanted him to play. You wanted him to be on the court. You potentially want him to start. You
Absolutely.
can't complain about his 20 minutes. Luke Kennard played really well throughout the year. He has some dud games. He has some good
A
games.
string of them lately.
Yeah. He was fine. He wasn't like, oh my God, get him off the court. Sometimes, some minutes, yes. Some plays, yes. His defense,
Nah,
yes.
he
But
shot 5 threes in 20 minutes. I don't want
yeah.
him on the court if he's gonna do that.
GG Jackson, you wanted him. There's a lot of talk within the Grizzlyverse that you want him to be the starter on this team. He plays 17 minutes. You can't complain about him. Santi Aldama, Wayno, this doesn't count for you.
No.
But Wayno did not. Wayno, yeah, Wayno Aldama did not play well tonight. And I think that you look at the numbers, and he had a bad shooting night, but he still had 10 points and 7 rebounds and 3 assists. You can't be too upset about that. 25 minutes, I'm okay with that. Brandon Clark did not play well at all. He only played 3 minutes in the second half. You play majority of your starters. What's the complaint about? That's what I get back to is all these guys you want to play, and then you play them, and they're like, you can't put them on the court together. Well, who can you put them on the court with? Because it doesn't make sense. Like, can you play them? Do you want them to start? Are they a good professional basketball player? Yes. If all those are yes, then what are we complaining about? We're complaining about one guy can't be on the court with the other guy. Like, come on, man.
No, it's about effort. It's about want to. It's about not folding when the moment gets tough. It's a character thing with this team, and I think this team is a veteran team. Now they're not Lakers veteran, but this Desmond's in his 5th year, Ja's in his 6th year, Jaren's in his 7th year. This team should be able to bow up and say, "You're not doing this anymore." And you see Taylor Jenkins on the sideline. He is letting them have it. He's trying to hold them accountable. They're just that may be Taylor's undoing, is that he just can't get through to him anymore. But they're grown men playing basketball. You should have some pride and some self-esteem, self-respect a little bit, that you just don't allow these runs to happen. They just shouldn't happen. 42-13. Yeah. I mean, come on.
Yeah, and that's like it makes me sick that our team is soft, because literally Wayno puts us in, and every time I see another message, just like Wayno says, I think we need to face it. Our team is soft, and then Robert says, "So hold on, it's going so fast.
It's like Gladys Knight, and then here comes the Pips. So soft, so soft, so soft."
It just makes me laugh, because when somebody says something, it's just like everybody's like, yes. Like, if there's anything we can agree on, is this team is soft. And so and that's kind of where we're at.
It's such a shame. We are a month away from hanging up a number 9 jersey in the rafters. The dude who brought grit and grind to this franchise and that embodied this city so well. And this team just has none of it. Like, Tony Allen should sit this team down and just be like, you play in Memphis. This is how we do things. This is how you guys, Jared, John, Desmond, this is how you used to do things. But apparently it was Dylan and it was Steve-O that carried the locker room here.
Yeah.
But these guys just, I mean, the F word is very much in play. Yeah. This is a regular season team who just can't get out of their own way. They can't play grown-up basketball.
No, I agree. And a lot of people are saying this, and Black and DJ saying this well. The conversation a little bit beyond this game. And Anthony and Austin, I'm not going to pick on y'all. I'm gonna combat you. That's kind of what I do. Like I said, I am petty, but I am very much the is it devil's advocate kind of guy. Yeah. So I like to poke holes in everything, and I just want to throw it all on the table.
I'm the same way.
Yeah. And so if you get upset with me, don't take it personal. I just want to come back at you like you're coming at me. I just have a mic, and you have
a forum,
keyboard. Yeah, whatever. And so we're going to talk. But he says we're talking about this as, the game is a whole season. It's what they're all discussing. And I agree with that. But I can only judge before the All-Star break and then after the All-Star break. Sometimes you coach differently. And that's my opinion. I'm not saying that everything Taylor Jenkins as a coach is doing right. Absolutely not. Like, I think I understand that. And I think I'm on the same wavelength as you, Drew. But my thing is like, he got everybody back healthy. And like he literally went away from a guy in Scottie Pippen, and they're going to still try things because they have a little bit of a lead and they have a chance to figure out how good they can really be. And so, yes, I understand you're talking about the whole season, and I know that, but I can only point to this. I can't go back in time when people might have been hurt, whatever. And that's kind of where to kind of put the cards on the table. That's the only way I can really talk about it fairly, because I can't go back and say, "Oh, Ja was out," but still he played 11 players. Like it's hard to say that.
Right. It's true. You have to look at it in both ways. And when we were slumping, it was all Taylor Jenkins, and when we're hot, it's not. And every time I've tried to look at this, I try to look at the whole picture. I'm a devil's advocate for all players involved, all parties involved, even coaches. Like, why would Taylor do this? Why would, because everybody knows that this isn't the way that things typically run with 12 players. But if you think of why he may have done this, well, Ja's out, Desmond's out, Marcus is out, and you've just trying to throw S at the wall and see what sticks. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that was more times than not what he was trying to do. None of our role players were being consistent enough to just throw them in and trust them for 25 minutes a game. So you got 4 players playing 18.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just frustrating. And
it is.
There's a real, if there, like I'll say it again, if there's one thing that's Taylor Jenkins undoing, it's that he can't get through to the players. But
100%.
Tom Thibodeau would have broken somebody's nose on this team right now. Like none of these players could go play for Tom Thibodeau and be in his good graces.
And that's kind of where we're at, right? We're at the point of S or get off the pot, and that's to players, that's to coaches, that's to the front office. That's the bubbling frustration that the fan base has. It's not about like nobody dislikes any certain player or and really not for the most part the coach. Like it's just like, hey, we've not seen anything to kind of take a step, right? And so that's kind of where we're at. And
no
so
progress.
and I know we've definitely kind of completely killed this rabbit, but I see that Grizz Company Maine has brought something very good. I like a lot of what he says on Twitter, because he does speak passionately, but also he is very honest and real. And it's hard to be a fan and not get too much in your feelings, but also kind of keep it real. And so I very much have aligned with him over the years. But I saw a lot of his tweets tonight, but then coming in here and saying this, Jaren and Dez have added to their game since that Lakers series. Let's just be honest. The last 2 years, Jaren and Dez have added to their games. Let's just bring it years into this, right? So if you want to bring it to the season, that's fine. But it seems like Ja Morant hasn't. For the last 2 years, he's had issues where there's no consistency. He's been on and off the court, and I get all of that. And so this year is the first year he's been, for the most part, fully healthy. But I looked at his game tonight, and there's nothing to it. Like, I don't know if you're seeing the same thing I'm seeing, but Ja wants to get off of the dribble every single time, and he wants to get to the front of the rim. He wants to split the 2 bigs at the rim and get to the other side. And because of that, he has to then throw up something or try to do a kick out late or a wraparound late, and it's causing a lot of turnovers. He did get to a little bit of that quick jumper that's at the free throw line, but for the most part, his game is 1 or 2 moves, and it just seems like it's so stagnant right now.
Yeah, I mean, you look at what Shea did to his game, and by no means do I want Ja Morant to play like Shea, but I feel like that's what he wants, the same whistle as Shea. He wants the, I don't think John necessarily wants to be a foul merchant, but that's the way he's been playing lately. Yeah. He's trying so hard to get calls, and he's not being creative. He's not shooting a lot of threes, and you've seen where at best he can be streaky. He's not really a great 3-point shooter, but he can be streaky if he hits a few. But he's not shooting threes. He's just doing what you're doing. He's putting his head down. I mean, even when Steven Adams was setting screens for him, the path to the basket with Steven Adams setting screens was very crazy. He'd take strange paths and just Steven Adams setting screen, just as they're just zigzagging down the aisle. I mean, there's just nothing there. There's just nothing there. And it's a lot of either complaining about not getting a whistle or getting stuck in the air. He's done that ever since he was a rookie. He'll probably never stop. He just gets stuck in the air now.
Yeah. And that's okay. it's okay to get stuck in the air if you can be as creative as he can be,
Right.
right?
It
The
rarely bites him in the butt.
Right, but the problem is he's a one-trick pony right now, like, and that's just the honest truth. Like, it just seems like he's, off the dribble and going to drive every time, and so I just watching the defense tonight, it was very much of them knowing what he was going to do. It's a closeout, but they're closing out, giving at least 3 feet on a hard close. If anybody doesn't understand what the hard close is
Mhm.
you have to you're running a little bit faster to get to the spot, but instead of like running and getting up on him, they're running and giving him 3 feet. Because what that does then is it forces the shot he won't take it. It forces him on that drive, and because they have the 3 feet, they can stay with him a little bit, and then the other bigs coming to help. And at that point, Ja isn't taking the time to keep the defender on his back to create that Chris Paul type move
Mhm.
where you can kind of get pushed in the back with a little bit of floater, or he doesn't do the SGA pull up. Like he showed it a couple times tonight, and it looked good, but it just does not seem like he's playing with much force. Like when Ja was coming into coming in the lane, he was going to dunk on you, or or you were going to feel it on him. But now it looks like he's trying to finesse his way through, and I think that's the different part of his game, and that's why he's struggling. But I don't know if that's his attitude. If that's I don't know.
I think there's a lot of things with Ja that he's allowed to snowball.
Yeah.
The dude just needs to sit down and talk to somebody. They've got professionals on every sports franchise these days that you could talk through issues like this. But everything snowballed. His hip was hurt earlier in the season, then it was his shoulder, and then apparently his house got burglarized, and just like everything, like the whole world is falling down on him if you ask him. And my thing is, we can talk about his decision making within the offense, but my problem with his decision making is him deciding to not be involved in the offense for large periods
Yes.
of time.
I don't
Like
get it.
that's the problem for me. Like if you want to go drive downhill and put up 18 layups and try to draw 18 fouls, like fine, you're engaged. I have a problem with him just sitting back and letting Jaron and Desmond take over.
Yeah. I wonder what it is with him. It's not that he's not good enough. I
No,
think he's still
he's
good enough.
clearly he led the team all the way back tonight on his
Right,
back. Like he
right.
chose to do that. But then
Yeah,
it just didn't. It just folded again.
and I don't understand, like, he's got the potential still. I will never not believe in Ja ever. Like, listen,
Never,
I'm
never.
on record calling him out. I get it. Did not mean to, but it happened. But, like, I'm a believer in the Ja Morant that if he wants to be the best, Ja Morant can be the best player on the court. He was nowhere near the best player on the court tonight. He was there for about a 4 to 5 minute stretch. He was that guy, but he has to be alpha Ja, and it looks like he's beta Ja, and that's kind of where I stand. I don't know where he can take his game to the next level. I think it is on the floater. I think it is on
Yes,
creating a little bit more. But in all honesty, like his kickouts are to wide open guys. If they don't hit the shot, they don't hit the shot. But the problem is like he isn't creating the momentum that he needs for himself to get himself going. Like what's happening is they're stopping him, making him kick, which actually keeps him out of the flow of the game. He can't get himself going because he's passing so much. And that's like there's a different energy when you pass the ball
right.
and somebody knocks down a shot compared to you putting somebody through the rim or doing a crazy move where you know
Right.
that you're the best player. I think there's a different energy. I think that's where he's lacking.
Yeah. I have nothing more to add to that. I
Yeah.
don't know where you get that from. He's clearly had it in the past, but he hasn't had it since he went through his nightclub incident. Like he came back, got hurt. Well, actually, he came back last year for those 9 games and was incredible. And then he hadn't had it at all this
Yep.
year.
All right. Well, let's keep moving real quick, and I want to shout out to our guy Anthony, um, watching from Brooklyn. So
What
a
up?
Grizzly fan out of Brooklyn, Anthony. Whether a Grizzly fan or not, either way, Anthony, love you, man. Thanks for hanging out with us wherever you're watching. And I know we don't have people that are all from Memphis, and so I love seeing the show continuously growing. We have people, Brazil, New Zealand, Brooklyn, all over the United States. It's awesome to continue to see the family, as King Meeks calls them, the mafia. I hate using the word mafia, but the Bluff City Mafia, it grow. And so thank you all so much for kind of hanging out with us. This is Grizz 901. I am Daniel. That is Drew. He's stepping in for Nate tonight. That's not going to be here tonight or tomorrow night. So I do believe I've asked Ryan, and I think he might be coming on. But Ryan said his kids had a Mardi Gras play or event that he had to go to. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have no idea why the kids are involved in.
I don't think that you should be allowed to participate in any sort of Mardi Gras activity until you're 21 years old. I don't know how old his kids are, but he don't look old enough to have a 21-year-old.
Young. They're definitely young. But yeah, as Blackney DJ says, Grizz 901 worldwide.
Wow.
Is that Step Brothers? I love that movie. All right, let's keep it moving real quick. If you're watching the Canada USA game like I am, it's 2-2. It's a hockey game. I am not a hockey guy, but I enjoy this Four Nations stuff that's happening. It's been really good, but it's Canada versus from USA. So
if you put the stars and bars on anything, baby, I am in. I'm a patriot, if nothing else. I mean, hey, speaking of Court of Gold, if you haven't started it, it is a 10 out of 10. I binged it all in one day. Amazing. It's the Olympic run, the men's basketball Olympics in Paris, and it chronicles the U.S., Canada, Serbia, and France. All four teams. You're in the locker rooms. It's amazing.
Well, I love that. I was watching my wife earlier tonight, and they're out of school, and so she was home earlier, so we just kind of put it on the TV, and it was enjoyable. I started a little bit last night as well, but it's been a good in-depth. Just kind of look at how they got to that point, but also just kind of learning about the people as well. But Rage Tempo cheering for Canada. Boo.
Yeah,
Boo
get
you.
out of here. Get out of here.
I with my Sports Betting World coaching company live 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 Central. We're live on Stadium Network, but also YouTube and wherever, YouTube TV, wherever you can watch the Stadium channel, we're on it. But there's so many Canadians that are coming into the betting world. And so I'm learning about all the Canadians and everything. So it's been a fun week between USA and Canada and the discussions, because I have nothing to do with hockey, but people I'm close with are the hockey guys. And so I've enjoyed my side of cheering for USA, and I have no idea what's happening. But anyway, that's enough talk about any of the hockey tonight. Let's put a bow on this game. We've been here for roughly 40 minutes, and then we're going to get to, just kind of getting a little bit of the Grizz Trivia, but also hitting on the game tomorrow night against the Magic. The Magic looks like they're going to win against the Hawks. They're at 112-106 with 41 seconds to go in that game, but we'll get to them in the very end. But let's go ahead and hit on the rest of this. Is there any final thoughts on this game within anybody else, or anything else you want to kind of hit on?
Yeah, I kind of hinted on it earlier. I don't love Luke Kennard's game as a backup point guard if he's not going to shoot. So I'd much rather see some Pippen in there just as a change of pace, especially when we gave up a 50-point quarter. Throw in Pippen in there. We've seen at least that he can muck it up a little bit on the defensive, be pesky. I know he's not the perfect backup point guard, but neither is Luke Kennard, honestly. Yeah. He's not a point guard. He's added a lot to his game for that position. He's not a negative with the ball in his hands initiating the offense. It's just not what he's good at. Right. It's not what keeps him on a court is his facilitating. No, if he's going to be important to this team, it's going to be shooting the basketball on the wing or catch and shoot threes. It just is.
So on that as well, I look at Santi Aldama and maybe who's that? Wayno Aldama and Luke Kennard, and I look at their game, and with them on the court together, I'm curious what that plus minus is, because when they're on, it's a lot of spacing, but it's very limited defense. And so I think if you're going to play both those guys, which I think they are, I wouldn't say similar, but they're very similar in their game of they're limited on defense. They stretch the floor, but there's no creativity at all outside of a catch and shoot. And so because of that, I want to see if there's a way that, you get them away from each other and then have them be the ancillary pieces that kind of go along a Bain and a Wells or somebody else, Vince Williams, and go along them, but try to keep them separated as the flow of the game. It's just going to be tough unless you go with one in early and then bring out somebody, and then eventually you get back to your starters towards the end of the half and then the final minutes. So I'm curious, and I've always been a fan of them, but with them together, it seems like too much of the same thing. And you like that their weaknesses are too big when they're together. And so I'm curious if that's something that they might actually be able to target, because I don't love them together.
I'm a lot more bullish on Santi than Luke, and that's not where I started this season at, but I just think Santi in this offense is really good if they're going to continue running the offense. It's kind of hit and miss now, which is kind of think why you see a lot less of Santi breakout games. So I'm a lot more bullish on Santi for what he brings to an offense. But, neither of them are perfect. And I think that's the reason why you can't really bank on them. You've just kind of got to capture lightning in the bottle. And when they've got it, you ride with a hot hand. If not, you've got to hope Gigi's got it, or Brandon's got it, or Pippen's got it. You've got to find the guy who has it.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, if you look at Gigi as well, his defense has not been good either. Like, people want to
No, he's been a mess. He's been an absolute mess.
And so he hasn't played well at all. And so he's been fine at times, and he'll knock down a shot. He honestly is a guy that I would not have in the rotation. If I had to go down to 8, I would leave Gigi off right now. If you had to make me put hand to heart, I would definitely leave. He'd be one of my guys I would leave off right now, just because I don't think he gives you enough consistency in a big playoff series. But that's for another day. Just looking through here, we talked about Aldama a little bit. Bain again, 23
solid.
points. He consistently has done it. Looks like it's now 17 of the last 20 games he's had 20 or more points. Like, he was a play of mine today of 20 or more points. And honestly, he looks like he's Mr. Consistency. He finds a way to knock down open 3-pointers, 3 of 5 tonight from deep, 9 of 16 overall, 5 rebounds, 7 assists. You can't ask for more than what he's given us. And he's also being an upside on the defensive end. And so I do think that he is a guy that's a really good player that isn't getting the shine that he really deserves.
No, he went through a pretty bad slump a couple different times this year, but he's answered back. He is who we thought he was. And, there was, you go back and you look at Twitter replies, which is a very dangerous place. Just people quit looking in the comment section. But some of you folks wanted to trade him, and it's just silly business. It always has been, and it still is. So he was really good.
Yep, no doubt. All right, last thing before we get to moving on to the next thing, the TA documentary. We haven't talked about it. I don't think we'll get into it too much yet. It's not close enough. You guys did talk about it today. If you want to hear a little bit more of a breakdown, go back to the $2 Sports Show. It's live every Tuesday and Thursday at noon Central. They talked about it. I believe it was in maybe the halfway through the show.
Right, somewhere in there.
Yeah, but go check it out. But yeah, the TA documentary is going to be awesome, and just that little sizzle reel that we got was pretty cool.
Yeah, I went on a pretty long diatribe just about my appreciation for Tony Allen today on our show, and so go back and look at that. But I think he's arguably one of the most important players that's ever put on the Grizzlies uniform for what he brought to that team. And you can say what you want to on a nationally, people can say whatever they want to about whether or not Tony Allen deserves to have his jersey retired. But jersey retirements are for what players meant to teams and organizations and franchises and to the cities that they belong to. And no one has meant more to the city, let alone the franchise, as much as Tony Allen was meant to that Grizzlies grit and grind team. And I will be, I saw a couple times in here, my man King Meeks asking when we're going to be back in the FedEx Forum, and it will be March the 15th for the Tony Allen jersey retirement. Me and Buckets will be there early. We're going to make sure we get our vinyl records, and we're going to have a box of Kleenexes beside us because I'm a happy emotion. I'm emotional when I'm happy, more so than when I'm sad. So there will be I'll get choked up, I promise, during the documentary and during the ceremony, because he was my first favorite Grizzlies player. That's when I came into the Grizzlies fandom, was right after that 2011 series against the San Antonio Spurs that the 1-8 upset. And I mean, Tony Allen, I would take a bullet for Tony Allen.
Have you ever met TA?
I have not, but if you want to hook that up for me, I'd love to.
Might be able to make that happen. But I will say, you got to let me produce the show. Just keep on rolling. I'll get to King Meeks' comment. I saw it. I was waiting for it. I knew that you were going to that game. I know that's why. That was probably the next game that you're going to. Listen, I got you, man.
This is the second time I've bought tickets to a Tony Allen jersey retirement game. So,
yep. Well, TA is a real one for sure. We might have to make some of that happen. So we'll see. We'll see. We do have some connections around here in the city of Memphis, but let's put a bow on this. The Grizzlies lose 127-113 overall to the Indiana Pacers. Unfortunately, the game got off to a hot start. Yeah, a little rough in the second, and then from the rest of the game, it was kind of hit or miss. And third quarter gave us some hope. You telling me there's a chance, and then there was no chance.
The Grizzlies came back from 17 down. That's what I kept telling myself throughout that whole run that we were on. It's like, we've done this before. We could absolutely humiliate Indiana again. And
no doubt.
It was too much this time.
Yep, definitely. All right, you know what's too much? Grizz Trivia. Art says, if I ever go to Memphis, I will contact you. No doubt. I have you would want to contact me if you ever come to Memphis. I promise you, I will I'll hook you up. In my day job, I can take care of you. Okay. So I don't want to give out too much. I'm not trying to get fired live on the show. But I can help you out.
I know where you work. So let me just write that down real quick. I don't live in Memphis.
True. Yeah. Listen, yeah, I can hook you up there too. But let's get to Grizz Trivia real quick. Then we'll kind of get on out of here. But this is King Meek's favorite segment, so we got to have it. And so the question is, the Grizzlies franchise history. Now, they have won 11 of the 14 final games leading into the All-Star break. So this is pre-All-Star break. They won 11 of the 14. They finished in the first half with a 36-18 record. So, Drew, I ask you the simple question. Where does the 36-18 pre-All-Star break record rank in franchise history?
This is a tough one because that's not a stat that I keep on the top of my head. I know that there was one year early on in my fandom where the Grizzlies early on in the season were like the 1 seed. It seemed like for the first, quarter, third of the season. And so I'm going to say that. I'm going to say second, just because I do remember that incredible start to a season one year. I'm going to say second because I don't think there's been many times where the Grizzlies have had this good of a record.
All right, so I'm going to go through here real quick. One, Rage Tempo. I love this one. Ooh, this one's hard. Okay, I love that because sometimes I'm like, all right, is this too hard, too easy? But we have answers all over the place. Art says second best. Lauren, fourth best. There's some Tiffany, Kendarius, Goon, Black Nina DJ. I love that people are guessing. So everybody's got their guesses in. I try to kind of posture this a little bit to kind of let people even get in here. But the answer to it is the second best.
There we go.
2014-15 season.
Uncle Buck Trivia, King Meeks.
Yeah, they had a record of 39-14. And so if you remember the 14-15 season, well, now that the Grizzlies are entering in. And so the reason I want to do that is because the
Western Conference Finals season?
Yeah, that was that one year. Yep. And so the reason I brought this in is because we can look at this team and pick it apart, and we can think we're not good enough, whatever. And at 39-14, the 14-15 season, we thought we were pretty good. So right now, maybe it's just a little bit of us kind of beating the team up a little bit, us being honestly realistically and saying, hey, we see it as smart basketball fans. We see the holes. And so this isn't to say, hey, know your role and shut your mouth, but it is to say, hey, we're in a good spot right now,
We are.
jabroni. So we have some
I've
issues.
said many times,
good.
you look back at any playoff landscape, you look at how it started, how you thought it was going to go, and how it ended, and you see key injuries that happen in playoffs. And sometimes the teams that end up in the Western Conference Finals, in the Western or Eastern Conference Finals, or even the NBA Finals at times, are just there because they maintained health.
Yeah.
And so we've had a lot of health problems, and we're still to this point. But the most important thing going into the finals is, one, I think it's of utmost importance to have a first round matchup at home. I do think that is the biggest, most important thing that you can have is home field advantage in the first round. But then after that, you've just got to stay healthy. You just you go up there, and then say you draw a 3-6 matchup with, I don't know, the Clippers. Well, you know that there is a 50-50 shot Kawhi Leonard gets hurt at some point. And then at that point, you are a prohibitive favorite to get through. And so you just have to, there's a massive onus on health in the playoffs. And that's what dictates conference finals appearances every single year is health. You just got to be there and ready to play and be able to play all the way through.
No, and that's spot on. Let me run you through this real quick, and I don't want to spend too much time on it because I want to get to the look ahead. And there is no actual look ahead tonight. Ryan, that guy did not send us anything, but I do have some thoughts on the game, on the Orlando Magic. But going through this, I want you to rank 1 to 5. I think, you know what? Let's do 1 to 10 because I think that's actually a realistic number. 1 to 10. How do you feel the Grizzlies rank? 10 would be the worst. 1 is the best. And so give me your rankings, and I'm gonna roll through some of these teams real quick on who you think is a tough matchup for the Grizzlies, a team that you want to face. And so if you get to the playoffs, because going and piggybacking a little bit on what you were talking about, like it is about matchups. And so I want to know who you think might be the toughest matchup. So if we go through here, OKC 1 through 10. 10 being the toughest.
10 being the toughest. 7, I think.
Wow.
I kind of buy that they've won the same amount as we have. They're daunting, I know, but playoff basketball, I'm more worried about teams that have LeBron on them, I think, and Steph that won multiple titles.
Really?
I'm just worried about them more. I'm giving myself room because I know that Steph Curry question is coming in a minute, and I'm pretty scared of Steph and Jimmy.
So listen, this should not be a surprise of the names I'm going to read. I think you should know who they are. So you could pick this however you want. I think I would have put a 10 on this one.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, let's go to Denver.
I'm actually a little bit lower on Denver. I'd say probably a 6. I think that I'm not as impressed with Murray lately.
And I went down 1 number.
Listen, I'm ranking these, okay? I'm gonna have you 1 through 10 in a minute. 1 per number.
Okay.
So that's kind of how I've done this. Maybe that's not how you set it up, but I'm gonna make it more difficult. Okay. So, and we're going to get to the end there, and I'm going to have there's going to be Minnesota, and the only thing there left is a 10 or something.
Oh,
so,
yes.
Yeah. So now that I've said that, I really regret the Oklahoma City answer. But yeah, Denver. I don't really trust Jamal Murray right now. And then once you get rid of Jamal Murray, it's Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon kind of thing.
Yeah.
And Jokic is the best player in the world, but I don't know. For some reason, I'm not buying them at the moment.
Okay. All right. Let's keep it going. We'll go a little bit faster these. You don't have to give an explanation or anything, but Houston.
Yeah, there's 7 as well. I've made a mistake.
No worries. All right, let's roll. Lakers.
They're like an 8. Yeah, I don't like the way that they can play their pace. Yeah. Lakers and Golden State, I don't really want to play either of them, if I'm being honest with you.
All right. we'll end on Golden State because they're the last one to play in right now. The Clippers.
See, that the big X factor is whether Kawhi plays. If Kawhi plays, I think they're a terrible matchup. I think they're
Let's
like an
say
8.
everybody's healthy.
Yeah, everybody's healthy. I'm gonna say like an 8.
All right, so
I think that they are absolutely a finals contender if they stay healthy.
11,
I've thought
11
that
it
for
is.
several years, and they just never can stay healthy.
Yeah, that's the issue is that they can't stay healthy. But we're assuming everybody is going to
I
be
love
healthy.
their role players. I love Zubac. I love Norm Powell. I mean, I think they're just good from top to bottom.
Okay. Minnesota.
1. That's who I want.
Okay. So that's
who I want.
obviously the least of your worries. Dallas, obviously without certain guys, but they should be back healthy by playoff time.
Yeah, 3 or 4. Anthony Davis is definitely a problem if he's going to stay healthy, but I don't really have much outside of them that I'm worried about.
Okay. Sacramento is here, but they should be falling a little
2.
bit. But
yeah, I don't expect them to be in there.
And Golden State?
Yeah, they're like an 8 or a 9. I've seen it too many times to think that that's easy. I don't care what the regular season record is. I've seen Jimmy Butler will an 8 seed Miami to the finals. I've seen Steph Curry win 4 titles. Like, I don't want any part of it.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's so just I want to kind of know a little bit about it because one, I think it's good for us to think about. As I've said before, like I am a guy who tries to poke holes in it and try to like pull out exactly what you mean and feel. And so if you look at this, like the teams you want to stay away from is obviously Golden State Lakers, which are vet heavy teams, and the Clippers in a sense, right? They're vet heavy.
Yeah, and
teams.
you could put Oklahoma City in that category as well. It's just they don't have their bona fides as much as those other teams do.
Okay.
I greatly value veterans.
Okay. All right. Well, somebody just asked me a question real quick. Rachel says, "Who would you want the Grizzlies to face for the playoffs?" I think I'm in the same boat. You can give me Sacramento, you can give me Minnesota. I'm okay there. Dallas, I feel like we match up better now because I think Ja plays well against Kyrie, a smaller guard, than others, and so I'm okay there.
No Lively.
Yeah, and then no Lively, and I think that Lively should be back by that time, and Gafford, and AD. They all should be back by the playoffs. But I still think that we're okay because you get a lot of those pieces back. They still got to figure out how to play with each other. That's the thing is when you're getting all these guys back at one point, they got to figure out how to mesh, and I think that's kind of a struggle. Denver, I'm okay there. I'm at a 5 or a 6, but I would put the other guys higher. I'd put OKC at an 8. I think we match up terribly against them. The same thing with Houston. I think we match up terribly against them. I don't think Houston's as good, but I do think we match up terribly against them just overall. I don't think the Grizzlies have a great matchup wise. I don't
think Houston. I mean, I buy the matchup thing. I don't trust those players in a 7-game series yet. Not Jalen Green and Şengün, and they'll have Jabari Smith they're working in, and like I just don't trust them. I trust Van Vliet. I definitely don't trust Dylan Brooks in the playoffs. So I mean, I've seen this movie. He will be the 5th best player and take the first most shots.
Yeah. And a team I don't want to play first round is the Lakers. Second round, I'm actually okay if you get to the second round, play the Lakers compared to the first, because I think that they're going to have to assert themselves 40 minutes a night to get through because their bench is so bad. But I do think with a lot of their starters on the court, I think you can kind of do away with a little bit of Reeves when you have the ball in, Luka and AD's hand. I'm not AD, but LeBron's hands so much. I think you got to get a little too much and do away with a guy like Reeves. I think Reeves helps you in the regular season for this team. I don't think he helps you as much in the actual playoffs. So I think it's good to look at and kind of pick apart because I think it's interesting. We'll say interesting.
The Grizzlies are about to fall to the 3 seed as well.
Yeah,
they're currently tied with Denver, and Denver's playing Charlotte tonight. So, I don't put a lot of stock into that either. That's fine.
Yeah, I don't care about the regular season for the most part. I do care as long as they're good. I don't care if it's 2, 3, whatever, 4. I would like to stay out of the 4. That way you don't have to run through OKC just because I don't like the matchups. So I'll take my chances. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on to tomorrow's game. We're looking at the Orlando Magic who won tonight. And so sorry. My voice is like leaving me, and I keep trying to drink something, and it's not helping. But they won tonight, 114 to 108 overall. This team, Paolo Banchero, 36 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. A great
Woo.
game out of him. They're on the road at Atlanta, so they do have travel, which isn't that far.
And
But
the nightclub.
and the
They
nightclub.
may be hitting the town. They've been riding a slump. They just got to win an ATL. They may be going to the club.
No, they're gonna get on the plane and go right home. I
Yeah,
promise. There's no way they're
yeah,
staying in Atlanta tonight.
you're probably right. But that's not
Uh,
as fun to talk about now,
it's
is it?
not as fun.
Okay.
I like your thought.
Okay.
I think I'm right. But Franz Wagner, 25, 7 and 5. Did not shoot well from deep, but he honestly he played well. Uh, Wendell Carter Jr. back in the starting lineup. Hadn't been the starting lineup for a while. Wendell Carter Jr. back in the starting lineup, 9 points, 15 rebounds. Wendell Carter is a guy who I love
I've
for this
always
team.
loved him. Oh, I've always loved him.
Hey, where did he go to school at?
He went to Duke.
Oh, that's right. Another good player.
Did you go to Duke too? Or are you
No,
are you a Yankees fan?
I feel like I feel like I went to Duke. I know more about that school than my school, for
Yeah.
sure. But no, I did not go to Duke. But no, I'm not a Yankees fan. I grew up with Duke, being a Duke fan.
You're doing West Tennessee cheering for Duke like you love them. So I was just
Little story. My high school basketball coach loved Coach K. Always talked about Coach K. And so my 4 years under him, I was giving a book of I don't know which book it was, but he always talked about Coach K and the reasons he did things and some of his thoughts. And so I just like dug into like the Duke stuff because I was a hoop head, right? And so I wanted to kind of know more. And I didn't have a fan. I didn't anybody that my dad liked, I did not like, right? So he's 49ers. I went Cowboys. Cardinals. I went to Braves. He was a University of Memphis Tigers basketball fan, so I was like, I'll pick anybody. So that's kind of where the reason it started. It ended up being those are the teams on TV too. So
I like a good son. I cheered for the teams that my dad cheered for, so that we had. I don't think I had a choice. Nor does my children have a choice. They will be Ole Miss fans, or they will find other places to live. Like that's just that. If I've got to struggle through it, you got to struggle through it.
No doubt.
Nobody chooses this life. You're born in it.
This life chose you.
Yeah, you're saying right.
Well, as King Meeks and Ryan always say, it's going to be a blowout tomorrow. That's our joke on the show. But I don't think this is a blowout. I think this will be a closely contested game. But if you look at the rest of this team,
match up with us.
Go ahead.
How do you think they match up with us? Because to me, Orlando at their best is just a shutdown defensive team that's really big. I don't feel like that's a great matchup, but they've just struggled mightily lately.
Yeah. Well, they've struggled because Jalen Suggs, he's not playing right now. And so I think that's where this comes down to. But if you look at this team, it's more of a one-on-one type team. I think it's Paolo Banchero and I think it's Franz Wagner who, if you can stop them, I think you're okay. I think the way this game goes is you're going to have a center in Wendell Carter or Goga Badatsi, who is their bigs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you have Edie, and you also can go a little bit smaller with a Brandon Clark. Okay, so I think they equal each other out. I'm not saying that Wendell Carter isn't better than them at rebounding the ball. He is creating those extra possessions.
Right.
I do believe he is. I want to look at his offensive rebounds. He had 11 defensive rebounds, so 4 offensive rebounds tonight. So it's not a ton that he's taken over the offensive glass. But if you look at Paolo Banchero, I'm 100% going Jaren on him. If Jaren wants the DPOY, shut down a guy in Franz Wagner, who you're bigger than, you have the size, and you can actually, he wants to post you up and get back to his shot, right? He wants to be able to post up, look at you face to face and go by you or do a step back shot. That's his game. And it's a really good game. Paolo Banchero, God, where did he go to school? Oh, he went to Duke as well. But I think his game is very prevalent on being bigger and being more athletic. I think Jaren is a good guy to have on him. I think they can equal each other out. If Jaren can kind of win that matchup, I think that wins the game. Just overall, because Franz Wagner, fine, but I think you're going to have a guy.
Who's starting at point guard for them? Is it
So
short
it's Cole
guy,
Anthony?
Yeah,
Cole Anthony from UNC.
Yeah, Ja
Cole,
Morant needs to cook him.
So Cole Anthony, I believe it's going to be Cole Anthony, who plays very well against the Grizzlies, and I think that Ja will be on him. I think that Franz Wagner will have the matchup.
I think that one clip of him, Mo Bamba.
Yes. And so I'm curious how this goes. I like the Grizzlies matchup here because
they're really good on back-to-backs as well this year.
They are.
I think they're like 6-1 or something like that. 5-1 on the second game of a back-to-back.
That's not good.
Hey, Mr. Oddsmaker here. Wemby went down for the Spurs for the season. He will not be eligible for Defensive Player of the Year. I'm going to ask what everybody wants to know. What can I get Miles Turner odds at?
Dude, wow. He played incredible tonight.
He was out of his mind tonight.
See, so that's the reason I like Jaren played well, but Jaren doesn't have a sexy game.
No, he doesn't.
That's why I've always said, like, hey, chill out on the award. Like, if you're betting on him, get a huge number, because realistically, he's not a guy that I would really go after and bet on, because you can get him on before a big national televised game. You're going to get your best number on Jaren, and he has to play really good. But I don't see any DPOY stuff right now. I have to look for it. But dude,
he was so good in a game that it was like, okay, Jaren, you are now the favorite. I was wowed by Miles Turner.
Yeah. It's crazy to say that, but yeah, he played well. Prediction on the score tomorrow.
I don't know, man. I'm pretty down right now, but I'm an eternal optimist, because I don't know how you might make it through a day expecting knowing you're going to watch this game tomorrow and also expecting us to get bulldozed, after a letdown game tonight. So we'll say the Grizzlies get it right. They win by 11.
Wow.
Yeah.
They win by 11.
Yeah. I think I'm just going to let it all hang out. This is no way to live, to be a pessimist here. We're going to bounce back. We've done this so many times. How many times have we gotten on here being pissed and it lasts one game? It's happened like 5 times this year.
Yeah.
So
that's how it happens, in all honesty. I think the Grizzlies win 117-111. I think that's kind of falls in line of the right areas for both teams. But if you had to guess, what's the line?
I would say the line is somewhere around Orlando minus 1.5.
Nope, Grizzlies by 3.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I would have been very wrong about that.
Yep. So I don't know what their situation is. I haven't looked into it too much, whether or not they play on back-to-backs, but I'm pretty sure Banchero is so far away from that injury issue that he's going to be fine. I would assume they play on a back-to-back. The Grizzlies do have 3 games in 4 days coming off the All-Star break, which doesn't make sense to me. But
it's brutal baptism by fire.
Yeah.
Down the stretch here.
Yep. But the Grizzlies, over the last 15 games now, they have covered against the spread, which is whatever the spread is, which today it would be -3. Is they've covered that 11 out of the 15 games against the Eastern Conference this season. And so they played well against the Eastern Conference, whether they win or lose, which covering the spread means they're winning as well. So either way, I do think that they win tomorrow. 117-111 is my prediction. I think it's a game that is a get-right game. I think they got a little pie on their face. They also are getting back together from being on a little bit of a break. They're on the road. Usually being on the road after a bad loss, it can actually help you more on the road than it can at home. At home, you're going back to your family.
Fair.
You go back to normal life. On the road, you get punched in the mouth. You sit in it. You're wearing it. Pie on your face all the way till you get to your hotel room. Your coaches, everybody sees you. You wake up in the morning. It's a game day, right? It's not, hey, I need to take my daughter to school and be dad for a second and then get back and lock into mode. No, you can actually lock in the whole time. And so I think because they're on the road, I think they actually win tomorrow night. And I think it's a good showing out party for our guy, Jaron.
I'm with you. I'm you know, I don't like calling out commenters, you know, but that's what kind of we do. Astronomo, we're like 2 weeks away from a general manager trading away a franchise player, and he is in here just spinning out on Kleiman here. So I don't know why you're directing your anger at Zach Kleiman at this point, but
listen, Astronomo, we love you, man, but bro, don't jump.
He doesn't go. There are no half measures with Astronomo, and I do appreciate that. It is all gas. I love it.
No breaks. I love it. All right. Well, we've been on way too long, but I think as you can see that we're excited to be back and enjoying this because it is definitely it's a fun time to be a fan, win or lose. I know that we're wearing it and we're kind of living in the moment right now. But realistically, I'm enjoying the season so far, and it's going to be a fun ride as we continue to go down throughout the end of the season. But Drew, can't thank you enough for hanging out with us. So today is Thursday. Okay. So make sure you still check out $2 Sports Show every Tuesday, Thursday at noon Central. But then in the morning at 7:30 in the morning Central, there is the Daily Grind with Luke. It could be Drew. Drew, you on tomorrow?
I think it's gonna be me and Buckets in the morning.
There
Luke has got engagements in the morning, so you may get a third installment of the $2 Sports Show this week.
Yep. Well, Art's asking, will there be a show tomorrow? Well, Daily Grind, yes. You get the $2 Sports Show at 7:30 Central, and then you also then get a post-game show tomorrow night. As soon as the game ends, I will be here, and more than likely, I think Ryan is joining me. If not, I might reach out to Drew again. We'll see. But either way, it's not Nate. I do know that after the text I got this afternoon around 2:00.
No,
all right, that's all we got.
Just a reminder.
Another reminder. I'm not going to be there. All right, everybody. Thank you all for hanging out with us. This is Grizzly 101. I am Daniel. That is Drew. Stepping in for Nate tonight. Enjoying this so much. And if you're watching this afterwards, go ahead and hit the like button for us. If you're watching this live, hit the like button on your way out. It lets us kind of know you appreciate us, and it's free. Why not? You can help us out and do that. But everybody have a good night. Listen, do not freeze. And Astronomo, don't jump. Be nice and tell your friends.